Hello gorgeous ones, Dr. Lucy here. It's 5:12. I am so late and I'm so sorry. I raced home from work. I didn't get in till just after 5. Had a super busy but fun afternoon. Both Dr. Mary and I were talking to medical students, so we had to do a presentation on low carb for medical students, which was totally awesome because it's so great to be able to spread the low carb message to these young junior doctors and just influence, I guess, the paradigm that they're currently taught, that I was taught at uni, which is still very much the low fat paradigm. So being able to talk to them about lifestyle medicine was wonderful. So by the time I finished that, and I had one more patient to see, and I raced home, literally, I got in at 2 minutes to 5, and then my phone wasn't charged, so I've hooked it up. You should see it's like some MacGyver thing. And then I've gone, right, what am I going to cook? So, fossicking through my fridge, I've got some leftovers. So there's no point in me just heating up a bunch of leftovers for you, because I'm pretty sure you can do that by yourself. But what I thought I would do is cook, and again, I know a lot of you will have done this, and it's not rocket science, but I'm going to cook chaffles. So they're chaffles. The other name is Jimmy cakes. And the reason they're called that is that a good friend of ours who basically decided that a chaffle, so a chaffle is a combination between sort of a cheesy jaffle and a waffle. So some people might even call them truffles. But anyway, and what they are is it's this delicious sort of pancakey thing that is a mixture of cheese and egg. And there's billions of recipes on it and lots of variation, but I'm going to show you my one today. So basically, again, there's a sort of a formula. So I've got some free-range eggs. These are lucky chicken eggs. They're extra large, so they're, you know, I think I've told you I only like big eggs. I'm going to see how many are in the box, and there's only 3 left, sadly. I would have, if there was 4 or 6, I just would have made them, because what I'm going to do is make a batch of these pancakey, Jimmy cake, waffly things. Now, the key, there's a few keys. So basically, it's 1 egg, and I'll give you the ratio, but I'm putting in 3, because you know I always do batch cooking. If I'm going to get out my zhuzha, then I might as well do it for a couple of things, because these little things can freeze. So yeah, so our friend Jimmy decided that that he was sick of cleaning the waffle iron. And, you know, and again, for some of the waffle irons, they get a bit yucky. So he decided to cook it into a pancake maker. And so there was this total craze on pancake things. And I, of course, you know, loving a bit of a craze, ran out and got one. So I've got this little contraption here. I'm just going to bring it over in front of you. It's this cheapest little thing. It was $25 in Safeway. There you go. It's called a Cambrook. It's a Cambrook pancake maker. And I just realised I used the term Safeway, which just goes to show how kind of ancient I am, because for those of us, we know that it's now Woolies. Now, Jimmy's addition was to add in a little bit of baking powder. So I'm putting in 3 eggs. So normally it would be 1 egg to maybe a quarter or a half a teaspoon of baking powder, but I've got 3 eggs, so I'm just going to whack in a teaspoon or so. As you can tell, it's not even a measuring teaspoon. I'm not that fussed about it. And then I'm going to add in a little bit of gelatin powder. And again, you just buy this in the, you know, that herbs and spices aisle in the supermarket. And I'm going to put in about a teaspoon. And what the baking powder and the gelatin do is give it this sort of flexibility. Because the thing I like to do with these little pancakey things is I use them as tacos. So with my leftovers, I've actually got, it's a funny old leftover, I've got my favourites, chicken satay leftovers, but you can actually use them. You make these little pancakey things and then they become a bit like a burrito or a soft shell taco or whatever. So I'm actually not going to put any herbs or flavours in them, because I'm using the flavour of my leftovers will be enough. So look, I do mix it first before I put the cheese in. So the ratio, now again, you can fiddle around with your taste. The ratio is 1 egg to somewhere between half and 1 cup of cheese, depending on how cheesy you like it. The original chaffle was 1 egg to half a cup. Jimmy's recipe is 1 egg to a whole cup, but I actually like it somewhere in between. I find a whole cup of cheese is a little bit oily for me. So, and again, you know, I don't really I'm not a great measurer. So that's 1 cup. 3 eggs, 1 cup. So I'm going 1 cup, I'm going 3/4 of a cup to 3 eggs. So that's going to be 2 1/4 cups, give or take. And again, I'm not super, you know, I'm not super, it doesn't matter, just fling it in. There you go. All right, now, the beauty of this, right, so you could be making these little morsels. They can be something like the basis, we use them for hamburger buns quite often. So there'll be a hamburger bun, they can be a sausage in bread, they can be, if you just want, you know, sometimes you just want like some toast with butter and Vegemite, this is your thing. Now, you can also put some sweetener if you wanted to and turn them into sweet pancakes. You can put some herbs in there if you wanted to make sort of herb bread. But I'm just, as I said, tonight I'm just doing plain. You could put salt in if you wanted to. I'm not going to worry about it because I'm just going to make plain ones. So, look. You can see basically I've mixed it all through. There's no big lumps of gelatin because I stirred that through first. And then you don't need to oil the pan or anything with these. They're blooming brilliant. And I'm just getting that same old spoon because again, who wants to use 20 implements when you can just use the same spoon? And basically, you can hear it fizzle. I'm blobbing these on. And then while these are cooking, I've got lots to talk to you about. Look at that. So, I don't know. Again, you just whack them around. This doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't matter. And people go, oh, how many carbs? I've got no idea, remember? But I can tell you what these do have in them that is fantastic, is that fat and protein. So, now, I put these on. My one has a timer. Basically, you can time it if you want. Or you just wait till the steam comes out. Steam pops out its ears, and when it stops steaming, you can lift the lid up. Don't lift it up beforehand, because what they do is this combination of the cheese and the egg, it steams it and it makes these little pockets that are sort of a bit bread-like. So the key is really to make sure that you do that. So while that's cooking, let's talk. So today, as I said, I had the absolute pleasure of presenting with Mary and a couple of other low-carb doctors to medical students. On top of that, the thing that got us so excited was the fact that we were invited to speak to the medical students by a nephrologist, so that's a kidney doctor, and a geriatrician. So these are specialist doctors that are now recognising how low carb can benefit their patients, and then wanting us to talk to I guess the junior doctors, which is totally what lights our fire. But one of the things I was talking about, and which I want to talk to you about, this came up again in another group that I was following, Marketing Mischief. Okay, you know that I love to talk about things that are on my high horse, and I've got a very high horse, and every now and then I climb up on it. So the high horse that I want to talk to you today is Marketing Mischief. So if you ever want to have a look, we've got a couple of blogs. We wrote a blog on Milo, and we wrote a blog on Up and Go. And I'm going to write a blog on sugar. So the reason I want to write this blog is that CSR have presented a packet of sugar, and it's got a big sticker on it, and that sticker says 50% less calories. And so you go, right, oh, wow, that's bizarre. And when you read down the tiny writing in the bottom, it's got, because what it is, it's sugar mixed with a whiff of stevia. And so they've written less sweet, so you use 50% less. Now, there's two things about that. One, I don't know if that's actually true. I suspect not, because if you're cooking with it, then you can't use 50% less, because that's the whole problem of these things. You need to use the bulk. But also, do people actually do that? Do they even realise that that's what it's saying? because it was in microscopic writing. You can't actually see it. You know what's funny? This thing's steaming away and my camera's gone all foggy. I don't know if you can see it, but yes, ooh, it's steaming. So unless you read the very fine print, you wouldn't know. So you'd just be, you know, putting your sugar in, thinking, oh, lovely, this is 50% less calories. When you actually compare the nutritional panel down the side, the sugar is 1,700 kilojoules per 100 grams, and this 50% one was 1,694 kilojoules per 100 grams. The carbohydrates were 100% carbs for the plain sugar, and it was 99.6% carbs for this 50% off one. So technically they're not lying, but their marketing is designed to suck you in. And I think that one of the things I always say, I say, just be very mindful that if something seems too good to be true, probably is. And remember that these processed food companies want to sell you their product. They're competing. There's a lot of food out there. They're competing. So they're going to tell you that something is good, and perhaps it's not. We saw it initially with cauliflower pizza bases that came in. And particularly, my loves, now that low carb is becoming low carb and keto is clearly popular. So companies are trying to, snaffle your dollars. If you think they're doing it to help you, they're not. They're doing it to find their piece of the market pie. And how can they do that when, the only way to do that is to really, with their bright, shiny things. I'm just going to get a plate so that I can get these things out because they're just about ready. The steam, can you see it? It's wafting everywhere. And again, you don't actually need anything for these to scoop these out. It's going to beep in a minute. I'm going to have a little look. Oh, that looks good. So I'll just whip these ones out. I reckon 5 minutes was probably a little long for these little babies, but I'll put the next one in and do a little bit less. So you'll remember, so anything that says healthy, if it's in a packet, probably isn't. Oh, that's my beeper from last time. Just going to put these in there. Because what I want you to remember, lovelies, is that there is there's no regulation on the word healthy. This thing's going away. It's going to beep in a minute. There's no regulation. So anybody can claim that anything's healthy. The star chart, or whatever it's called, the star rating, is completely corrupted and flawed. Please don't rely on that. You can have a product that has basically no nutrition in it, and you'll fling in some vitamins and fling in some man-made fibre, and suddenly it reaches the threshold of qualifying for stars, and it'll get 4 or 5 stars. So I'm thinking, well, food that is fortified is quite different to food that naturally contains the vitamins, but there's nothing about that in the packets. That's how these cereal companies get their stars. One of the things I want to say also, Sanitarium, okay, they make Wheat Bix or Vitabrits. I can't remember which one, it's so long since we've had them. Sanitarium, they make breakfast cereal. They have a person on the board of the star rating system. Okay, so one of their board members is on the star rating system board. Tell me how that's not a conflict of interest. Okay, it's really important that you recognise that just because something says it's healthy doesn't mean squat. So look, these little babies, as I said, that's one. This is probably actually a little bit more cooked than I would like. I'm going to do the next one a bit less. But look, you can make it flexible. Can you see that? So that can become, like if you wanted to have a sausage, or if you wanted to have, I'm going to stuff mine with this satay stuff. What I'll do is I'll put some, I've always got a bit of old spinach down the bottom. I'll put some spinach leaves on it and I'll heat up my satay and that'll be it. There's sort of there's only, my hubby's away at the moment, so there's enough satay for sort of maybe half a serve. So this is a great way to sort of pad out if you haven't quite got enough of your protein. And then because these little babies are essentially protein and fat, remember protein and fat are hard to overeat, as opposed to, look at this beautiful wafting steam, as opposed to carbohydrates, which are super easy to overeat. So I think I've spoken to you guys, but I'm just going to say it again. 9 Tim Tams has the same calories as 12 eggs. I have eaten 9 Tim Tams on many occasions. What happens, you don't feel full. You never feel full. You can always fit them in. You might feel a little bit sort of sweet sick, but then you can imagine big insulin spike, glucose rise, glucose starts to come down, probably starts to come down rapidly because of such a huge insulin response. And as that glucose is coming down, you feel hungry and you can start to feel a bit shaky. That'll happen about 2 hours after you've had the 9 Tim Tams. 12 eggs, the same calories. Nobody I know could eat 12 eggs is the first point. The second point, if you did manage, not that you're probably going to eat 12, let's say you got to 6, fat and protein together are going to keep you full for hours. Hours and hours, probably the whole day. So this is the whole thing we say. When people have like a 3-egg omelette in the morning, or a 4-egg omelette if they wanted to, they're full the whole day. So the calories, my loves, the calories, I cannot tell you how much I just don't want you to focus on the calories. What I want you to focus on is your hunger and satiety. Oh, let's have a look. My thing stopped steaming. I'll see what's happening down in here. Oh yeah, that's better. Oh, no, actually, give it a little bit longer. It was a bit soft. So the thing, I say this, and I've said it a lot, but I just want to keep re-emphasizing because it's so tempting to think that if you cut your calories, you will lose weight. And the honest to God truth is you will. If you cut your calories, you will lose weight initially. Then what happens is your basal metabolic rate slows down. Remember, your basal metabolic rate is your heart beating, your breathing, the energy that it takes to grow your hair or your nails or replace your eyelashes, whatever. That all slows down. So remember, I call that your calories for free. So your calories for free, where you're just sitting around reading a book, burning calories, that slows down. And so you then have to cut your calories even further, and then even further, until you're on hardly anything just to maintain your body weight. This has been proven time and time again in a study back in the 1950s called the Minnesota Semi-Starvation Study. But even more recently, they followed one of the series from The Biggest Loser in America, where they were on a calorie-restricted diet and, major amounts of exercise. Stop yelling at me. And followed how they... Oh, that's better. And I might as well, before I finish chatting, I'm just going to put... So look, you can see these little babies, what are we up to? Like less than 15 minutes because I was running so late. And these are on. So 3 eggs gave me enough for 5. And, it's going to yell at me again. So these ones are just a little less crispy and a bit more soggy. They're actually a bit hot. So when you do chronic, let's talk about the word chronic. Chronic just means over a long period of time. It's chronicity. So it's not related to severity, it's related to time. So when people talk about chronic pain, it's the long time. Chronic calorie restriction is calorie restriction over a long period. 1,200 calories a day, every day. That's chronic calorie restriction. And that will, without a doubt, slow your metabolic rate down, and when you then reintroduce food, you will yo-yo. Now, so what's the solution? People go, well, that's all very nice, Lucy, but what are you actually going to do? So we talk about this as the high eating days and the low eating days. So some days you might have one meal, some days you might have two, some days you might have three, some days you might have none. There is nothing wrong with that. It's a form of intermittent fasting, and it's really tailored to fit around your lifestyle. So again, if I was going away for a weekend with some girlfriends, I'm not doing no meals a day. That would be ridiculous. I'd be probably thinking maybe I'll have 2 or 3. That might be what I'm doing. We might go out for breakfast. We might go out for brunch. We might have, afternoon tea, and we might have dinner. But then what would happen is that on Monday and Tuesday, I would cut it right back down. Not because I'm dieting, but because because my woodshed is open, so my insulin is low, I'm able to access my fat stores, my body will say, you know what, Lucy, you had a lot of fuel over those couple of days. I don't need any for a few days now. I'm just going to burn the reserves. And I go, great, awesome. So then I would, probably thinking the way I often do, Monday might be a 1 or a no meal day. Tuesday would probably be a 1, Wednesday back to 2. Now, here's what I want to tell you. If, for whatever reason, you have fallen off the wagon, off the merry-go-round, don't beat yourself up about it. But what is going to happen is you're going to be hungry again for a couple of days. That is normal. So the people that sometimes recommend, if you've had a cheat day, which I don't even aspire to that term, but if you've had a day where you've had more carbs than you normally would, then it's often you will then be hungry. So don't make it hard for yourself. Go, rightio, I've had some days, I've had lots of carbs for whatever reason. On the Monday, I'm actually going to go back to having 2 or 3 good fat meals. That might include these chaffles or Jimmy cakes. These are great now. Once they've cooled down a bit and my work wasn't burning my fingers, you can see these are just beautiful. So they're going to be fantastic with my little leftovers. They're great for Mexican mince, and they're great for sausages, and they're great for hamburgers. So yeah, I guess I'm rambling a bit now. Here we go, Jimmy. Look, I can see you watching. Jimmy cakes, after you, my love. So what I want to say is that today was a day of chaos for me. As I said, lots of things to do. I've got my membership coaching group tonight. I've got a coaching call after that. Busy at work. Days are busy. But you can always quickly whip together something. Doesn't have to be perfect, but these are brilliant to fit in just some leftovers, or as I said, if you happen to have some sausages or something like that in the fridge. My loves, I think we're done. Take home messages today. Low carb, real food. Protein and fat will keep you full. You can make them quickly and easily. If you fall off the wagon, don't try and fast. It's too hard. Make life easy. If you're off the wagon with some high carb food, then the next few days have some high fat meals to settle the hunger down. If you've just had extra eating and it's low carb eating, beautiful. That's exactly what we want to do. Do not calorie restrict unless you want to ruin your metabolism. Do not calorie restrict unless you only want to lose weight for a short amount of time. But if you want to lose weight long term and permanently, you have high eating days and low eating days. That's it for me, loves. I will see you soon. Dr. Mary's doing low carb in the leaves. Remember, she's doing that in our group now, not on our page. So if you're not in our group, it's the low carb real food group, and you can just find the button on our page. And the other thing I want to say is if you haven't listened, we had a podcast episode drop today. Remember, I'm so posh, I know about podcast terms like drop. It's our podcast producer, who's hilarious, we love him. He goes, I think it's your best episode yet. So we really want you to have a look at it, and it's called From Diet Victim to Diet Victor, and how to navigate diet culture. So this is me trying to turn the thing off. Finish.